So it is like 11:48, so no big deal. We've got some bacon going into the oven. We've got some kettle and different cables, and we've got a me, so I'm very, very excited. I need to eat breakfast at midnight. I've been waiting for this since 2012, and it's just gonna be brilliant. There are some important lessons you need to know when you're making tea, okay? First of all, one bag is never enough. That is always too little chai. You need some nice, thick, beautiful chai. Secondly, you always need just the full bottle of maple syrup. Like, you just need some casual amounts of things, and then you always have to lick it, because if you don't lick it, then, you know, it just gets sugar coated on it and you can't use it. And then, you know, you put some almond milk in it, and it's great. And it is wonderful, and that's how you make tea. And yes, oh, I dropped it. That bottle was like full like 3 days ago. I grew up in a maple syrup farm, don't judge me. This has terrible lighting, but we have some chai tea, and we have an epoch in Anne's life, and this is also, you can't tell because there's page 222. So I thought this was a very specific and beautiful way to bring in my 22nd birthday. Here's to 22. I also really love, I don't know if it was the very last line I read at 21, but isn't it, I don't know if this was the very last line I read at 21, but it was the last line I looked before I checked the time. And it was, isn't this evening just like a purple dream, Diana? It makes me so glad to be alive. In the morning I always think the mornings are best, but when evening comes, I think it's lovelier still. And also this chapter begins telling us it's a September evening, and all the gaps and clearings in the wood were brimmed out with the ruby sunset light. And the sunset was gorgeous last night, and I actually got to spend with friends at a fire, and it was just lovely. So thank you, 21. You were a pretty good year, and 22 and Taylor Swift shall reign now my life. So when Canadians say Canadian bacon, this is what they mean. Yeah. It feels like a perfect night to have breakfast at midnight, or like 12:27. I'm sorry for any of my viewers that are vegans or vegetarians. I actually don't eat a lot of meat, but I'm literally banned from eating like all other breakfast foods. It's terrible. When it's nighttime, but you're trying to take a thumbnail without the light, and you're just like, how can I put this not in screen, but also above my head? I wish that I had nice lighting. If you have ever wondered what it looks like when I film, yeah, this is what it looks like when I film. This is also like less lamps than there was when I lived in my old house. I just haven't figured out like more spaces to put lamps, because I need to figure out how to put them higher up so they actually light my head better at night. I also had to make sure that I was wearing this shirt because Camp Half-Blood for Life, and you know, we have to have that for my birthday. So I feel really bad because I just got home at like 11:30 at night, and I had seen my housemate the whole time, and just at the beginning of my room had like a bottle of wine, and I was like, I feel really bad but also really thankful. It was a really great birthday. I had so much fun. I didn't do any reading other than In Green Gables, but I got to walk around a bookstore, and it was really great. And one of my really good friends, she's not a reader, but I saw Dark Dawn, and I just like went up and I was like, she's so beautiful. I haven't read you yet, but I'm just so precious. Let me take a picture. And she was like, you're acting really weird. And then I turned around and I saw Frankenstein, and I did the same thing, and she's like, yeah, you just told me you're weird, but you're still referring to the book as a she and talking as if she's a human being. I was like, darling, I will see you soon. I'm waiting for the library hold to give me Dark Dawn. Like, I'm waiting, baby. Like, it's coming soon. And she's like, okay, we need to move on. Anyways, yeah, so great birthday. Yeah, that was my thoughts. So I've had a hankering all day to read it, and I've wanted to read it for so long. It's been like over 2 years now. This is disgraceful. But with the last like 3 minutes of my birthday, ignore the weird hair. Yeah, I don't care. Rebecca, I'm gonna read it before it ends. I'm gonna get through like 3 lines, and I need to go so I can read it before midnight. Let's go. Like, this might be like the best writing like I have ever read. Holy crap. The mystery, the beautiful, the wonderfulness, the descriptions. They drag you in so much, and like create that like tension and also desire to know more, because you're visiting a past that you've never been to, and you want to know why and how and all of these things, and the descriptions of place are are so friggin' good. You know, it's like a good book when you're like on page 2 and you flip to the back and you're like, 360 pages. Can I read that? I know it's midnight, but like, all-nighters are fine, right? Like, also like really huge 350 pages because like they're really wide, but like, I am so tempted. Like, mystery. That's why I didn't pick up last night, even though I wanted to, because it was like 3 a.m. and I was like, I don't have time for this, but wow, it's midnight and I really just want to read it straight through. But I should not do that. But it's so. I had 2 delightful things happen in the bookstore. First of all, the shelf and half of Anne of Green Gable classics, which were beautiful. And also, I found ACOTAR in the adult fantasy section, so I'm in the parking lot of a grocery store, so I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that there's people around. I just went to the bookstore. I got rid of all the books that I was going to unhaul. They took all but 3, which I was really happy about, and they gave me $20, and in exchange, they're a little bit more expensive, but they were just like, you can take it, and they were very, very nice. And I got Vicious, which is a book that I absolutely adored. This is an old cover. And I'm just so happy because I really, really love this book. It was one of my favorite of the years, and I'm just lovely and love that I got it. And then I also got Shadow of the Fox. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a really, really long time. I know especially Elliot Brooks talked about how much she loves it, and a lot of the things that she brings up in her review, I think which like over a year old, is like things that I really, really love. It's very character driven and stuff like that, and I can't wait to read it. Even though I read something by Julia Kalagai this year and I didn't appreciate it, I think that was books that she'd read or written a long time ago, so I am really excited to be able to read this. Now I'm gonna go grocery shopping and I'm gonna go home and hopefully read more. Hi. So I'm having a great time because I've been cheating all week because it's been my birthday and all of that, so I've been eating sugar and gluten, which cause my everything to inflammatory, which makes me be in incredible pain and also has a lot on my joints. So now my legs are like numb and I can't really support myself, and I need to do a couple hours of work that I just started a new job, and I need to do some stuff, and I just can't because I can't learn how to do new stuff when I am in a lot of pain and I want to go down and get like some tea or something. But like, there's no way I'm gonna go downstairs because my legs don't like me. So it's good. I'm gonna try to read some Rebecca because I've been like, I feel guilty about reading, but like I'm not doing anything successful for work. So hopefully being distracted will kind of relieve some of the pain. And I'm just hoping that. Anyways, that is my check-in. Hello, so it's now the 12th, and I'm in the middle of Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Inge, and it's so good. I don't really read a lot of contemporary adult work, but it is fantastic and lovely and amazing, and I really love it when it's a little bit more detached and farther away when we're looking at the world, and there's not a lot that's happening. I really, really like this. I was actually talking to one of my friends. We started watching Harry Potter a long time ago, and then we hadn't finished, and he was like, yeah, like, I want to finish it, and I was like, okay, great, and he's like, we should start at the beginning, because it's been a while, and he's like, yeah, like, not a lot of stuff happens, and I was like, that's my favorite part, just give us the school days, let us have things. Also, if there's lots of noisy things around, it's because I'm making food right now, and I don't want it to burn. But, I'm listening to the audiobook, I'm really excited. I'm, like, not that far into Rebecca, but it's so, so good, and I'm just loving it, and the word play, like, I was so tired, and I was like, I need to make notes, but I also don't want to stop, and it's one of my really old books that my grandmother gave me, so I don't really want to write in it. I need a new version of Rebecca so I can annotate it. And that's my update. Hello friends, it's now around 12:30 in the morning on, I guess, the Friday. It has just turned the 13th. Yay. I was really sad because I went to the library and it told me Dark Dawn was in, but it wasn't in. So now I have to wait. And that's probably good because I do probably want to finish books, and I feel like if Dark Dawn is there, I'm going to be tempted. It's going to take me a while. But I'm also going to have to get through it real quick because it's a library book and it's a monster of a book. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. I finished Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, and it is a masterpiece. Like, it could definitely rival one of my top books of all time. Like, or at least this year. I don't know, it's funny because I should really read more historical fiction. Some people put it contemporary. It's set in the late 90s, which it's like, oh, it's not that long ago. It's like, oh yeah, that's like 20-ish over years ago. So yeah, definitely historical fiction. I think that it is brilliant, it's crafted. I think that it has some of the characters that are most well-rounded. Everyone gets a say. I really like the kind of third-person omniscient point of view where you're shifting in between different people's thoughts. It is something that I revel and love, and I know a lot of people is. I also like it that it's very, very slow, and that we just get to interact with them as human beings, and that's my favorite thing. Like, I don't need this grand thing, especially if it's going to be in a contemporary book, or not contemporary, but like not if we're not fighting monsters or anything like that. Like, I really want to see the parts that are real and realistic, and they're authentic. They're such authentic, beautiful human beings, and I adore it. I also thought that a conversation about racism, and the kind of polite racism that's like, we don't talk about race. There's a quote that's like, oh, shouldn't we just put like, everyone's born and they should be put in like a different race's family, like, because that will destroy racism. And it's like, it will also destroy culture. Like, by making equality does not mean the erasure of knowing that, like, I don't see black people like that. That's not true. Like, whether you have prejudice or not, that doesn't matter. The point is that you celebrate, not that you just try to ignore race, because by ignoring race, you destroy the sufferings and oppressions that have gone through. And by trying to say that race isn't a big deal, because it deals a lot with transracial adoption, you destroy that identity. And it is something that's very true. I talked about it when I was All You Can Ever Know, the book by Nicole Clun, which is a book about her own personal experiences with transracial adoption and being in a white family, and how there's that joy of being loved by that family, but also that disconnect from your culture. And one of my best friends is also adopted into a white family from China as well, and her story, I feel like, echoes that very much. It's not that you don't appreciate your family and that you can't be raised by a loving family from a different race. It's just there's different elements of that, and it's hard. Like, families, I'm sure, do it excellently sometimes, but there's a quote that my friend once said, like, she's like, I'm not white enough and I'm not Asian enough, and I'll never be enough of either, so that I feel caught between these worlds. And even though we're looking at a baby, so we never see the baby's point of view, but we see the whole society is kind of struck by this. And it's funny because none of the main characters are Asian. There's several side characters that are Asian, but the author herself is Asian. So I found it a very interesting choice in that the narrative of this is a sidelined thing. And I think that Asian culture is very sidelined itself. So that just made me think a lot. It talked a lot about motherhood. I thought that was a theme that was just so well talked about in here. Almost every woman has a significant relationship as a mother or a daughter, as a pseudo mother or daughter, and the conversations around that, and around motherhood and pregnancy, and how they viewed those things, around abortion. And I think that the dealing with abortion was one of my favorite things, because I think that something that breaks my heart often is the fact that abortion is often represented as a thing that, like, the girl walks into the clinic and then she walks out, and there's nothing fundamentally changed, when psychology does not support that at all. That despite not wanting a baby, almost all women receive a lot of grief and a lot of loss. And there's a line about the flicker of life that's gone. And there's a very interesting conversation about this, like, that you will always be sad about this, you will always carry it, and that doesn't necessarily decide whether it's right or wrong, but it is something that you will never be completely distanced away from. And I find that a very interesting quote that I have to wrestle a lot with myself, and the idea of that, because I have very personal feelings based on some of my friends that were almost aborted and stuff like that. So it's very hard for me to separate from the idea of that, and to see it from a more nuanced point of view. But I did appreciate the fact that it was very supported by psychology, and that I just really appreciated overall conversation of nuance. And every situation, even though we can look at them and say they're wrong or they're right, the other side was always supported, even in every situation. And I really adored that. I really love the characters. I loved everything about this book. Yeah, this is like the longest quote ever, or thing ever. This is just gonna be a very long vlog, and it's just gonna be lovely. I just, like, consistently lose subscribers on my vlogs, but I'm just gonna embrace it with the rantiness. Like, if you guys are not gonna like it, I may as well just talk on forever, because I'm just preserving my own thoughts for my own sake, because I do find that like wrap-ups and vlogs are my favorite to go back and watch because I'm watching my own experiences of those days and those times. And I think that's a lot of what Tom from TJ Reads the Stars posted on Twitter today, talking about the aspect of leaving it and not feeling supported and all of that. And I can relate to that. Like, I've been on booktube for 2.5 years. There's not really anyone who's consistently been around during those times. I could probably say Jasana. We started off at the same time and we've consistently watched each other's videos. But yeah, like there's not a lot of like support I've never really felt like in a group. In the later times I felt a little bit more connected with individuals and people and know that people have my back and stuff, but it's not like I talk to anyone like regularly and stuff. So it's very easy to feel lost and to feel your support. And I think that for me, it has to come out of a way of saying that, well, this is for me and I really enjoy this experience. So if other people don't, then I'm still doing it for myself. Because if you're doing it for popularity or you're doing it for the gratification of having other people praise you, then you're not always going to get that, and you're not always going to have consistent people, because people have life and times, and booktube is, even though small, it's just very plentiful. Like, not everyone can get the same support and stuff like that, and I think I've accepted that. At the end of this very long thing, I started Five Dark Fates, which is the last book of the Three Dark Crowns quartet. I'm so angry that it's quartet, and yet I've read it all, or I'm partway. I'm like 2 and a bit hours into it. I think that the thing that struck me is why I don't like this series is that the characters just are so lacking and the relationships are so lacking. Like, they're such an important part of the story, and yet I feel no connection to any of them. Like, I roll my eyes so often at things, and I'm just like, where was the build-up? Where was the thing? And it would be easier for me if Kendari Blake was a new author, but she's published many things before, like 2, I think, full series before this. So I want to love it. I love the concept, and yet I'm never drawn to it. But because I love the concept, I can't let go of it. So it's like kind of like the thing where it's not torture to read. It's just like not overly enjoyable. Yet I want to know what happens because I think that the idea is so interesting, even though the concept is, or the execution is like one that I just don't like. Anyway, so I have like 9 hours left. So 3 hours in real time, and I can say goodbye to the series once and for all, and I will be more than happy, but also happy that I know the ending. Yeah, that's my thoughts. So we are downstairs again because I need to have like my 6th, it might be my 8th cup of tea today. I have too much tea, but I love it. I'm also going to, when the kettle is warming up, hopefully going to read some You're Not a Country Africa. I really need to have a conversation about audiobooks because I find them very addicting. I find them very hard to finish, like to set down, and it really affects my physical reading. I am a much slower reader because I have dyslexia and it's not something that I read quickly. And also I annotate everything. Like, I probably spend half of my reading time every time annotating and writing down, and this is why I'm really frustrated. I've lived here for I guess like 2-3 weeks now, and I still haven't found my writing thing, and it's driving me crazy. I have this specific memory of when I was moving, my parents were down, and I was like, don't put that in any box, I need it. And my mom's like, I'm gonna put it right here. I don't know where that is. I can't find it. Almost all of my boxes, I need to organize my desk, and that's pretty much it. But I've like rifled through all those boxes and I can't find it. It has all my thoughts, all my ratings, like it's my full bullet journal for everything. And I'm just real stressed, like I need that organization muscle. Yeah, I want to talk about that, and I'm hopefully going to go to bed soon, because, oh, wow, the clock is telling me it's 2 a.m. I'm also having really bad hankering for writing, but I really need to go to sleep, so I'm going to probably drink some tea, read like 10 pages of this, and hopefully go to bed like a proper human being. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. So we are back to the vlog, because I had way too much to say about Five Dark Fates, so I just made its own vlog because it's at least 20 minutes of just me yelling. I finished it. In conclusion, I felt that it was just, the 4 books was completely unearned, and even though it didn't end the way that I thought it would end, I was still upset. I was still like, it could have been so great, Kendari, but like, it could have been so great. And that's my thoughts. I'm now about like halfway through. It's very short. My Sister the Serial Killer. It's a very interesting, it's supposed to be like a dark comedy. It's not that comedic so far, but like pretty much it's like her sister is a serial killer and is like calling her being like, hey, help me, and then she's like kind of questioning this and kind of being like, but I love my sister. It's very interesting. I'm not really sure where it's going, and I'm already like halfway through. Yeah, I need to go pick up Dark Dawn. I think I have to double check that the library hasn't closed yet. And I will check in with you later. Hello. We are by the kettle. I'm gonna drink some tea, hopefully feel better. My health is just not good. The standing thing is not working very well. And it's starting to steam. I should probably turn this off. I thought I had another minute. That's the other burner. Yeah, I thought I was going to be feeling up to going to one of my friend's concerts. She's a singer-songwriter, and I'm just starting to get to know her, and she's like brilliant. And I'm like one of those people that you're like, I just want to be friends with you, because wow. It's almost dark, not quite dark, so I want to film some stuff. But I feel like I've been just filming a lot of like tags and vlogs lately, and I want to do something a little bit more immersive, but I just don't know if I have the energy. I feel like I need more food. I already made a meal today, but like I barely have any food left, and I don't have that enough energy to go to the grocery store. So I think that I'm just gonna like rather around in pain, and I'm volunteering all day tomorrow, and then I have a meeting. This is gonna be a fun time. Yeah, so wish me luck. I will let in you later. I think this vlog is gonna be almost done. I know it's already so long, so I apologize. So I just finished My Sister the Serial Killer. It is such an interesting concept because of the fact that it deals a lot with morality and execution, that this girl would sacrifice everything of her morality and lie under everything in order to love her sister, who is very flippant about murdering people. I don't love it as the way that it was written. I think that it was a brilliant concept, but I don't think that her narrative was the best, which is why I don't think I can give it more than 3 stars. But I feel really bad about this because I think that it is a brilliant concept, and that I'm really excited to see more what she does as an author, because I think that she'll go wonderfully if she's like thinking this in depthly for her first novel ever. And I'm really excited. I love that it was short. I think that it could have been longer and dove into those things a little bit more, because a lot of like the past and the presence of her murdering, and I don't think that the exposition was really given there. We start with her cleaning up a murder, and we never really dive into the history of them. It's just very much told from the perspective of now, with little glimpses back. So I really wish we'd had more and fleshed it out, and I think that would have very easily raised my star rating quite a bit. But I'm gonna give it 3 stars, which is like above completely well executed and wonderfully. Like, it might be, if it wasn't for a great idea, just the narrative sense probably would have been a 2-star for me, but the concept for it means that I think that ups it a little bit. And I know that I rate lower than people, but like 3 stars is very good for me. Hi, so we're gonna finish this vlog. I just wanted to go over the books and kind of what I thought about them briefly from September 9th, with this vlog began, and on the 13th, because that is the day today. Okay, so the first book that I finished was Crazy Horse. I finished it from the rest of, I read half of it during POC-a-thon, and then my library hold ended up being expired, so then I didn't finish it. I really liked it. I thought that it dealt a lot with the history, and that it was a really good book that just explored his life and the story, and the kind of dichotomy between looking at him as a legend and what he did for their nation and their tribe versus a flawed man. And I thought that that was a very interesting way. And that he'll always be a symbol, and that he'll always be a man that's just like everyone else, but he'll also be a man like no one else. And I thought that Joseph Marshall did a wonderful job of like diving into that. The second book I finished this week was The Bridge of San Luis Rey? San Luis Rey? That's not Spanish. I'm saying it way too Frenchy. But this was a very evocative story of grief about these 5 or 6 individuals that were on a bridge when it collapsed in 1714, and their stories, and it won an award in 1914 or 1923, I think. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the story of grief and how these interconnected stories. I really like stories that are kind of out and looking at different people's emotions, but kind of glancing in when we're going to zoom in on people's stories and when we're going to look farther apart. I really like that narrative structure, and I would love to reread this book again, because I don't think I got it all on audiobook, and I think it would be one that I'd heavily annotate. Third, I read The Hideous Strand, and this is a book by C.S. Lewis that I don't love it. I love my man. He's the one, you know, I have to credit him as the person who inspired fantasy in my life. There's not a time that I haven't read the Narnia books. I really enjoyed the first Space Trilogy book, but the rest of it just did not go well with me. And I just think that it went too allegorical. I think that I guess I believe very differently on the combination of faith in literature, and I just don't agree with him on that, especially in regards to like this is a science fiction dystopian, so it just did not feel out of place. Like in fantastical elements, he can use like Aslan and stuff, and many will argue that it's heavy-handed, but I think it's a lot less heavy-handed than when he's trying to mix mythology and Christianity with dystopian, which like I'm a Christian, I just don't think that that's their place for it, I guess, especially like in the kind of novel that he's writing. Like you could write about the impact of Christian faith and like how that helps people through hard times and set that in a dystopian place. Like I'd be all for that. But in regards to the governmentally thing, I just didn't agree. Little Fires Everywhere was incredible. You've heard my thoughts already. I think that it was a masterpiece. Could easily be one of my favorite novels like of the year. I again liked the fact that it was very out and then it went in and drew on different people's experiences and just really had a wide variety of conversations and thoughts. And again, I think that I could reread it over and over again and find something novel each time. And then I had Five Dark Fates, which there's an entire like 19-minute vlog that I just uploaded it. It's way too long. But yeah, I think that it's a great concept. I don't think that it was the best execution. I still believe that Kendari Blake can write well, and I look forward to it. I just think that she needs to develop characters as much as she develops world. And I think and ask some of those questions of why hasn't this happened before, and some of those questions, and I think that helps as you become a greater writer. As I said, as someone who hasn't finished a book, so, clarify that. And then the last book that I finished was My Sister the Serial Killer. And I don't want to pronounce her name right. I should look it up. Based on it, I'm going to say Anniken Brathwaite. That could very easily probably a butchering of it. And I just think that the morality and conversation around that was excellent. So those are the books that I read this week, and I'm just really excited to hear your thoughts. And let me know which your favorite book was. Have you read any of these books? And I will see you very soon. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and all my social media stuff is below if you'd like to follow me there. I am very interactive on both all of my stuff, but especially Instagram and Twitter. So I'll see you then.